Welcome back everyone, and today we're back in the gym and I'm going to do a review of the M4 from Mikolo. I've had this for a few months, so let's see how it's holding up, what I like and what I dislike. If you guys watched my build video, you know how easy it is to build one of these. It's actually not that difficult. Lots of different parts, but it's nothing super difficult. I have a how-to on how to go through that whole thing. So the build process was pretty straightforward. The instructions were good enough to get me to the point of completion. Plus, if you have no idea what you're doing, you can just watch that video. So that one's totally fine. In terms of how well this one holds up compared to the last one that I've had, this one I've had zero major issues with. So the last one, the one thing that I had an issue with was, at least a major issue, was down here on the landmine. This attachment here that goes onto your barbell, which goes onto that landmine, on my old one bent because of how thin it was. However, with this one, I guess they figured that out and they've added this little extra bit here, which you can tighten this onto the barbell so it's not going to bend. Feels a little bit more rigid than the last one. This one still feels way too thin, but they added this on there. I haven't had any issues with this one since I switched over to the M4. Also, for the rest of the attachments, I have not had any issues with these. They've been able to hold up to the weight that I'm pulling on these. Nothing's broken, nothing has ripped apart. Also, on the ropes for your cable pull downs that you use, these ones are in a lot better shape than the last ones I had. There's no cracks, there's no frays. These ones are a whole lot better. I love these hooks too for all of your equipment. And I would also say that I guess how this is laid out is a lot more sturdy than I had on the last one. So especially if you're up here and you're doing pull-ups on the pull-up bar, it feels a lot more stable. Like front and back, there's almost no wiggle. The left and right was the issue that I had before, but with this one, yeah, there's not a whole lot of movement, especially if you use the weight holders on the side. These things have saved me an extra bit of room, since I am literally in a bedroom in here. I used to have my weight rack over here on the side that would hold all my plates, but since I have these, I don't need them anymore. So that gives me a little bit of extra room in here. But that also brings me to the first downfall. So because they have the plates on here, so you've got your 3 different ones you put your plates on, it doesn't matter which one you put on. These are all going to fit. If I put the 45 on this one, and this one, they're all spaced evenly enough to where they're not gonna smack into each other. However, when you're using the cables, so see I have a 45 sized plate, all of mine are bumper plates, so they're the same size, but you know what I mean. You get these same size plates for each one. If you have them down here and you're using this for your any sort of cable exercises, by the time it gets up to here, it hits that top plate. So that is one downside. If you're using the cables, you cannot go up past this point if you have a large plate on top. So all of your large size plates are gonna have to go down, and this one up here is going to have a smaller diameter plate. So I'm gonna be making a lot of comparisons to the last Mikolo one that I had, the one that I replaced this one with, just because it's the most recent one that I had, and I just comparing the different build styles and different ways that they have things set up. So for this one, because this one has the Smith machine, there's just more stuff in here. The one thing that I'm not super liking is the Smith machine bar. And so if I want to do like a bench press, the Smith machine bar has to go all the way up, which isn't that bad, but sometimes it just gets in the way. Like if you want to do squats, like you have to step in and the bar is always going to be there. So it's always going to be at the bottom, so don't hit your legs. And it can't be up top because it's so close together. When you swing your head in, you're possibly going to hit it. Also, the way that they have this one set up is your attachment points are on this mirrored finish one. So if you want to do a bench press, you'll put your barbell on here. And this is also where your cables run. So it's not the best design because if you want to keep everything on here at the same time, you can't really do that. So yes, technically I can have this run up here and maybe just tuck it behind there. And if I want to use this cable, the cable works. However, going up and down, it slowly, as I've noticed having this, I haven't had anything happen to the cable itself. It's not frayed or anything. But on the inside here, where it rubs up against it, it's slowly starting to eat away at this really soft plastic material up here, just like the barbell. Same thing with the last one. Barbell knurling is slowly starting to eat this one up a little bit. But if you're gonna do anything with cables, one, this is gonna add friction, and two, it's gonna slowly eat away at this. You can see here on my other one, I've got 2 notches where it's been sitting up against it and just eating away at it. And here's the other side. And also another thing that I did not have issues with on the last one, I don't know if it's a different material, but these little cable, I don't even know what to call them. This unit itself right here, totally fine. It doesn't swing back and forth as well as I think the last one is, but that's not the issue. The issue is, you can probably see it, is this. So this top little guard area, this piece of metal, is really soft. So whenever you're doing anything, so if I have this cable and I pop it up high, so let's do that. So I put that up high and I want to pull something down, it's going to scrape against the inside, and you can see it is just, it's already ripped off the paint, and now it's just scoring this. It's also gotten to the point where it gets the ball. You can see there's a bunch of marks all over the ball of just getting this started. So you scrapes against that, then you're in the starting position, and then you can go. So you can adjust it. So when you put everything back together, there it is, you can just move this down, and that gives you enough slack if you're doing something in that position. But if you're in a middle position trying to do a fly, this is where you want to be starting. You don't want to be starting like out here with all that slack, especially if you have a very small room that you're working with. And same thing if you want to go up. If you go up, maybe a tiny bit more slack there, but if you put that down on the bottom and you're doing some sort of raises, you're gonna run into the same issue unless you have some slack, but then you're gonna have the issue here. So something has to change with that. The way that's designed, it needs to be tight, but if you want it to not be scratched, then it's gotta be really loose. Which brings me to my last little tiny gripe about this. I mean, it is a low-cost unit. It's not something super, super expensive, but it is something good to know if you want to spend your money on this. So the Smith machine portion, I love it. It's super smooth. It does exactly what it needs to do. I love the little stoppers that it has down here, so you can even do safety. You can put that up, so just in case you drop it, it doesn't kill you. But the issue I have is the amount of slop that it has. So let me show you. So if you want to use the Smith machine, nice and smooth, but if you're at all unstable, there's a lot of back and forth slop. So like left and right, it's quite wobbly. So if you have too much on your right hand side, so if I put all the weight over here and I try to hook it, this side, I can hook over here. On this side, I still got about another 1.5 inches before I can finally come in and hook it in. So there's a lot of slop. And that is absolutely everything that I've noticed in the few months that I've had this and used it. Those are the only issues that I have with this whole system. Everything is smooth, everything is solid, everything is standing up to the test of time and weight and abuse that I put this thing through. Absolutely no other issues. You might be able to see, you know, that's just from shipping. Of course, you're gonna get that when, you know, you've got UPS and FedEx throwing this stuff around because it's so heavy. But besides that, like, this thing has held up. Nothing has been broken. Everything is exactly working the way that it should be. Very solid. I enjoy it. I use it as much as I humanly can between work. So I would definitely recommend this if you'd like to. I think there's a few things that they could improve upon on, like, on their next version that they make, just to critique it just a little bit, but it is worth the price. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you on the next video.